Welcome back to Movies TV Mad and Saturday's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Isn't it incredible that I start off a hot take, I have an opinion and everybody disagrees with it, then sensible people, elite people, echo that opinion. People who don't even know me, who have never heard what I've said. It was me in the early days of CWDC who said like the first two seasons of Arrow and the Flash were some of the best comic book television we've ever seen in live action, and also I said from the third and fourth seasons onwards this was some of the worst comic book live action we'd ever seen, and everyone started slating the CW. I was slating the CW within the last 3 seasons of Smallville. Slowly but surely people came to the plate. It's funny how I get there before anyone else. But in an unrelated kind of thing from a variety journalist, this is brilliant. Now, John Campier, you need to listen to this because this man's a gentleman. As I say, he's a variety journalist. What's his name? Clayton Davis. Well done, Clayton. I'm giving you a shout out. This is a great take, my friend. Take a listen to this.
Squad from Warner Brothers, which opened last weekend, opened up to a good, modest box office opening by pandemic standards, but not by traditional standards. And that is what brings me to this take, Elizabeth. I think us as journalists need to take a pause and stop with the takes of bombs at the box office. We are in a pandemic. There's no need to kick something while it's down. The whole industry is on fire right now when it comes to theaters, movie chains, all that. We don't know what we don't know. We are also in an immeasurable amount of what can be deemed successful because the streamers don't release their numbers. So, because we don't know that, let's all back off a little bit.
Well. Wasn't that what I was saying the other day, just after John Campier told me I knew nothing about movies and box office? Yes, this is a variety fucking journalist saying this. You're listening now, aren't you? But if you really want me to kind of expose John Campier and his lack of knowledge in box office and movies, well, take a listen to this. There has been a projection for Shang-Chi and the Legends of however many rings, right? 15 million opening domestic weekend. How much did James Gunn's The Suicide Squad get? 26 million. If this is actually true, and Shang-Chi only gets 15 million at the domestic opening box office without being R-rated, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad in pandemic terms is a great hit, right? Maybe we should be listening to Mick a lot more. Maybe Mick isn't a bullshitter that just makes it up as he goes along. It doesn't matter that he's only got 871 subscribers and about a quarter of those subscribers watch his content. It doesn't matter that I'm not verified, that I live in Cyprus, that I'm not from Hollywood, that, you know, I don't have a pretty female face and I don't talk like this. Maybe Mick actually knows what he's talking about, and actually that proves that I do. Release the Ayer cut. Yes, finally we got the best, the biggest Release the Ayer cut event ever. This was meant to happen a week ago. Now, David Ayer went to the organisers and said, could you do it a week later? Because basically the studio and James Gunn didn't want that event to kind of clash with the release of his Suicide Squad movie. So David Ayer went to the organisers of Release the Ayer cut, and yes, they very kindly agreed. Of course, if David Ayer says to you, postpone it for a week, and you're fighting for David Ayer's vision, it would be very bad to ignore him, and it would show that you were only doing that event on that date out of toxicity. But welcomely, greatly, gladly, the organisers agreed, and we had the event yesterday. Over 200k tweets. Now, I don't know if there's more, but that's what I've seen. So a very, very successful event. So why would they release the haircut after Anne Sionoff said no during that interview at Variety? Because things have changed, but the main reason is James Gunn. James Gunn has been told everything by David Ayer, and he knows it's wrong. And as a director himself, he's gone to WB and said to them, you've got to release this movie, or I'm done with you, or I'm not going to work with you. That's what I've been told. That's what my sources are telling me. It'd be very interesting when and if, or should we say when, the haircut is actually released. I do believe they're going to greenlight this movie, and I think we're all going to have to really give James Gunn a big round of applause. Now, a lot of you have attacked James Gunn and said some very unkind things about him, but at the end of the day, just because he didn't publicly hashtag it, which, let's be honest, he can't when he's kind of got his fingers in, you know, with WB, and he wants to keep on making WB content, I'm quite fine with him going behind the scenes and fighting for the haircut in the background and not shouting it from the rooftops. Some heroes don't wear capes, so that is my understanding of the situation, and that's why I've been confident for some time now that we actually will see the haircut. Now, how will we see the haircut? Now, obviously, we all think HBO Max, which would be a good way for you in America to see it, but unfortunately, the international global rollout is going very, very slowly. I still can't get Disney Plus here in Cyprus, so even if they release it within the EU, I don't think here in little old Cyprus we're going to get it in, you know, for some time. So I think a home release would be, for me personally, I think they should release it on HBO Max, and in Europe and in places who haven't got access to HBO Max should be able to watch it on Blu-ray, 4K or DVD. They'll make money. They'll make money via subscribers on HBO Max and people buying it on home release as well. That's how I would do it. Yes, I really want to see this film. A lot of people were leaking stuff from the film last night. It's a very interesting film. It is so different. And I think the opening scene isn't that, I forgot her name now, the doctor lady who basically becomes the enchantress, right? We see how that happens. There's a kind of escape scene in Arkham as well. There's lots of things. David Ayer's explained it all. So it's very, very, very exciting for me to believe that this movie will finally be released. And I think it will. And I think it deserves to be released because David Ayer was collateral damage in this situation from day one. None of this was his fault. This was down to Zack Snyder and the company, right? The company allowing a director to make their movies when they knew damn well this isn't a guy who makes movies for the broader audience. He's already said it. He said, I don't care about the mainstream audience. I care about you, my fans, and that's great. I love him for it. It's not Zack's fault that he makes movies a certain way. It's not. He's just not a filmmaker for the broader audience. And that's fine. And that's okay, right? But you don't listen to Christopher Nolan. You say, Chris, you don't want to do this? Then we'll find someone who wants to do this. You don't allow him to dictate to you and bring in Zack Snyder when you know you want a franchise, a DC extended universe that appeals to everyone so you can make as much money as possible. But I'm glad Zack came in. I'm glad we got Man of Steel. I'm glad we got Batman vs Superman. And, you know, I'm glad we got Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. So look out for an announcement in the next few months for David Ayer's Suicide Squad for the haircut. And as soon as that happens, we'll be discussing it. Could it be announced at DC Fandom? I think if we will get an announcement, it will be a great place, a feel-good place to do it. So maybe David Ayer, maybe he will be at DC Fandom. And don't forget, hopefully I will have my laptop by DC Fandom. I'm looking into it at least. So hopefully I will be live throughout the whole course of the day while DC Fandom is happening. So how am I going to do this? If I'm live, I'll probably have to have the headphones in, listening to what's going on. So if I do it live, I won't be able to sit back like you lot and relax and watch it. But that's okay, because I'm providing a service and I'm sharing time with DC fans, and we'll be reacting to the news together, which is more exciting for me. So fingers crossed, no promises, but fingers crossed, I will be covering DC fandom here on Movies TV Mad live, and I hope so. I hope so, because that's the way I want you to experience it. I want us to be together. I want us to experience the whole thing. I'm so excited for DC fandom. Now let's move on to Henry Cavill, because Henry Cavill's Superman is sensational. I love both the takes in BVS and MOS, but Henry Cavill doesn't. Henry Cavill likes the Man of Steel version. He sees it as a version with balance. It has the humour. It does have a little bit of humour in that film, but it has the character development for him. So I think he's got a great mixture, and he really wanted to expand on the Codex story as well, which he was never allowed to do. And look, I don't know what to say to you. Henry Cavill didn't like Superman in BVS. I like the movie. I understand what Snyder's trying to do and take him to the long journey of becoming the Superman we know and love. But Cavill wasn't a fan. And now Cavill loves Zack, don't get me wrong, and they've got a great relationship. I mean, he did him that big favour, didn't he, when he came on the Man of Steel watch party. So I don't think there's any kind of residual resentment from Henry towards Zack. But I certainly believe that Henry Cavill didn't like that version of Superman. And for him it was utterly damaging. It was. It damaged his career as Superman. Let's be honest about it. Look what they did to him in Justice League because of what happened in BVS. I'll tell you what I know. That Henry Cavill has been apologised to by Warner Brothers themselves. They have apologised to what they did to his image in Justice League, and they have apologised for the toxic negative campaign against him and for kind of keeping silent on his Superman. And so I think things are in a lot better position now. I think even one of the producers of Man of Steel BVS, the Suicide Squad, has said he regrets what happened in Justice League and what happened with the upper lip. I mean, what do you call it? The upper lip CGI, using the terms loosely, to Henry's image. It was disgusting for Henry, and so many people using it on the internet to prove a point was very disrespectful towards Henry and his image as well. Now, I want to talk about Black Superman. Now, we know that Michael B. Jordan will be doing his very own direct adaptation from a Black Superman from the comics, but we also know that Ta-Nehisi Coates and J.J. Abrams are developing their very own Black Superman. Now, this was announced over at the Hollywood Reporter quite a few months ago, and they told us he would be called Kal-El. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that this is a black version of Clark Kent, but can I just say something off the bat? This is where I stand on the situation. I'm okay with a black version of Clark Kent as long as he's from another Earth. If they delete Henry Cavill's Superman and replace him with a black Superman, I will be as angry and as frustrated as everybody else, because this is the way I look at it. What's wrong with having a black Clark Kent Superman on another Earth? It makes no fucking difference if you ask me. And you know what? We've kind of exhausted white Superman over the years so much. George Reeves, Christopher Reeve, you know, the Superboy show, Smallville, Lois and Clark, Superman and Lois. We've kind of exhausted that thing so much. That doesn't mean I don't want to see white Superman. It doesn't mean I don't want to see more Henry Cavill. But I do think having a black Superman expands the imagination of the storyteller. It just takes it to a new place. It's a bit like what they're going to be doing with Michael B. Jordan and with that Superman. You know, Val Zod. You know, Val Zod's a very different Superman. I've read kind of the synopsis for his character. It's a lot more interesting than the white Clark Kent, if you ask me my personal opinion. And this is the problem with that Clark Kent. He's very stoic, he's very pure. But in a film standpoint, on a TV show standpoint, it can be very, very uninteresting. I've said before, if I did a white Clark Kent, the Clark Kent, I would make him a lot more different. I'd make him sarcastic like Tony Stark. He'd still be pure, but as Clark Kent, I think he'd be a bit more robust, you know, a bit more sarcastic. And even as Superman, he can have a few, you know, James Bond jibes, you know. a bit like Arnie used to do in his movies as well. You know, someone shoots him in the face with a bullet, he turns around and says, where have you been? The Phantom Zone? You know, it's obvious that you can't kill me with bullets. Why are you shooting me? And that's the kind of thing that I would do. And so what kind of thing could Ta-Nehisi Coates do with a black Clark Kent? Well, obviously, because he's black, that brings a lot of different things to it. It does expand it a little bit more. And of course, there will be social commentary in there. Now, Ta-Nehisi Coates, look, I've read up Ta-Nehisi Coates stuff. I've read up on Ta-Nehisi Coates. A lot of people call him a terrible social justice writer. He's not a bad writer, by the way. It's just about not being triggered by his politics, which I understand some people will be. Listen, some people don't want a black version of Clark Kent. Now, you and I don't know what's going on here. We have no idea if this in fact will be a black version of Clark Kent, Kal-El, if this is going to be President Superman, which is the only other way they can go if they adapt another black Superman from the comics, because we're already getting Val Zod. I would go President Superman, I've said that many times, but there are good ways where you could do kind of a 3 Earth 4 or whatever from a black Clark Kent from another Earth. That's totally fine, and it doesn't affect Henry's Superman, which I'm absolutely fine with. But bringing in a black Clark Kent, a black Superman, and kind of, you know, race swapping him in Earth 1 and, you know, deleting Henry Cavill would be totally toxic. A deletion of Henry Cavill in the Flash movie will anger everyone, even us lot who are up for everything and excited for everything and don't abuse the studio as much as some do. I think that will be it. I think we would say, you know, we're not supporting this anymore. How can you delete Henry Cavill and swap him with a black Superman? That's not right. But if you want to bring us a black Clark Kent on another Earth, I'm more than fine with that. That would be amazing. That would be sensational. And I think Ta-Nehisi Coates can do something, you know, something very special with that. Imagine this. Imagine if he lands, right, when he's a baby and when he's a teenager or slightly older, he's around in the days where black people were slaves. How does Superman deal with that? Now, I did hear that they're adapting a comic. So I don't understand if this means that it's kind of a Clark Kent comic or a President Superman comic. I have no idea. But they could actually have black Superman in the days of, you know, when the North and South was split and, you know, the North of America, you know, agreed in slavery and, the North of America, sorry, let me get my history right, I do apologise. The North opposed slavery and the South supported slavery. That's right. I did read John Jake's North and South, which is a brilliant book, by the way. Actually, he did 2 or 3 books, maybe more. Anyway, so if we had a black Clark Kent in that era, you could really have some great commentary. It could be an epic 3-hour movie. It would be awesome. But I did hear from the Hollywood Reporter that they were going to do, I think it was going to be based in the 80s or 90s or something like that. I don't think it was going to be based in the present day. And I think this is what Ta-Nehisi is looking to do. So you could do something like that. Or as I say, it could be President Superman. None of us know for sure if this black Superman is in fact going to be our very own Clark Kent or a brand new version they create or President Superman. The truth is we're just talking here. We don't know any facts. But for me personally, I think this would be a brilliant project. It's going to happen. I'm excited for this. I know a lot of people think that WB are just doing this to prove they're not racist. Look, we live in times where they're trying to represent more people. We do have to understand that for 100 years really, or however long Hollywood's been going, it was mainly white men who had prominent kind of screen time on the big screen or the small screen. Now, some of what's going on, which is reducing kind of white males on the big and small screen, is kind of somewhat toxic for me, but representation of kind of other cultures, you know, other people, more women, is a good important thing as long as you still cast the very best people, the very best directors and the very best writers. And I think Superman needs a fresh take. I think, you know, Val Zod and this black, if it is a black Clark Kent, could be a very refreshing thing. It could breathe new life into Superman. And, you know, believe you me, as much as I love BVS and MOS and Zack Snyder's Justice League, I truly believe that Superman does need some new life breathed into it. So Ta-Nehisi Coates and Michael B. Jordan, two black men, by the way, could do something very special with the character that I love. This has been the Movies TV Mad Daily. I am Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. I will see you in the next video. Please comment down below. Get your friends over to this channel, and don't forget, I'll be covering DC Fandom live. Hopefully, probably, maybe, fingers crossed. See you again soon.